Okay, I'm Junting, and you can call me Lodge, and I'm honored to be the last talk. I came from a small city in China, so before flying to Singapore, I need to move to a bigger city to take the flight. And there were several choices I could make, and I chose Guangzhou. Because one of my best friends is in this city, and I really wanted to meet her before I left China. I always found amazing about our friendship, because we have known each other for more than 8 years, but we only met 4 or 5 times in such a long period. We are in different cities, different provinces actually, and we are far from each other. We have different majors, different jobs. She is much older than me. So it seems impossible for us to meet each other in the real life. So how did we meet? It was a normal afternoon. I had a task. I needed to beat a bad guy, and I was too weak to do this, so I failed many times. Just at the same time, she went by, and she was much stronger than me, so she helped me to defeat this bad guy. I know this story sounds ridiculous. Why you need to beat a bad guy? What did he do to you? But everything will make sense if you put this situation in a game. We met each other in an online video game, and my task was beat a boss in the game. I just played this game for less than 1 week, so I really had trouble. So I tapped at the map channel and said, "Who can help me, please?" And she showed up like my hero. She had much higher levels than me, so for her, this mission is just a piece of cake. And she was a really friendly person. She helped me with the following mission. And this is the start of our friendship. Started in a video game and lasted until now. This is photos we took in the game and in the real life. I am a kind of game lover, so I always heard such questions. Why you love games so much? What can a video game bring to you? And every time I heard these questions, I will tell them that story to show what I received in a game. And it is more than that. It is not just a perfect friendship. For me, it reminds me a new kind of social interaction. Because in the games, you will set virtual identity, and you can create a character just like you or totally different from you. You regard your age, your gender, your race, your personality traits. And because of this, actually you don't set boundaries when you meet other person. All the stereotypes are gone. For me, as a high school student at that time, I would say I would never make friends with people who had already graduated from the university, because it's just a huge gap between us. But in the game, I want to ask, how old are you? I just don't care about that. I just have an interaction with you. I just talk with you. And so for me, I really appreciate the chance I meet my friend and many other interesting people. So, I played game actually at a very young age, maybe just at a primary school. But as a student, study is considered to be the most important thing to do. And playing video games sometimes be forbidden in some families, at least in China, but I think it's all over the world. So the parents, society, always links games with some negative words, and links the game players with dark future. I admit some terrible things do happen because of games, but in my own experience and in most cases, things just don't go such bad. And today I want to show some stories about the games, and I want to show my perspective of the games. I hope I can give you another thinking of the games. So to be started, as we are in the class named storytelling, I want to say game is a really good storyteller. Sometimes be better than the books, the movies, or the speeches. China had a really tough time in World War II, and in China we named it the War of Resistance against Japan. It is a tough history for every Chinese individual, and as a Chinese, I think we need to remember that history deeply in mind and pass to our next generation. So for this purpose, story is a really good method. And story can help us retell that history and show our national heroes. And they do have some books and the movies told this sad history. I really love this too. But if you ask what impressed me the most, I would say it's this. A video game called The Invisible Guardian. The main character of The Invisible Guardian is Xiao Tu, and the players take the role of Xiao Tu. Xiao Tu is a patriotic student in Shanghai. In order to help China win the war against Japan, he went as an undercover agent and tried really hard to get more information from the Japanese. He worked under a Japanese called Wu Zhishu. And in his undercover agent life, he was misunderstood by the public. He was haunted by the enemy and almost died many times. He was even imprisoned as a traitor because his identity was totally destroyed and no one knew what he actually done. So now I suppose you want me to show the ending of the Xiao Tu story, but I won't. Because the ending is depend on you. The ending is depend on the players. The ending is depend on the players' choices in the games. The game offers hundreds of endings and 4 totally different life paths of Xiao Tu, and everything is depend on you. So, life is full of crossroads, and we always face choices. Some simple, but some difficult. For Xiao Tu, every choice is about life and death. Not only his life and death, but his parties. Hundreds of people, thousands of people. And to be more serious, I could say China's life and death. So it's not an easy decision, but you need to decide for him. For example, would you shoot at your teacher in front of the enemy to show your loyalty to the enemy so that you can have a better undercover agent work in the future? Would you save an agent who was in the different party with you, but your goals are same at the time? What would you do to transfer the information to a party? What would you do to hide your secret from the enemy? And all choices will lead to different life paths of Xiao Tu. In this game, Xiao Tu, or I would rather say, the player ourselves, have many different endings. Some stick to the beginning and fight against the enemy. Some choose to go to another party and fight his original party after the war against Japan. And some even more shocking. Some choose to continue his life in Japan, which I would say totally intolerant at that time. So, when playing this game, I felt I experienced many Chinese people's life under that history. Every options leads to a different life road, and every life road may be just a Chinese person's life at that time. After finish this game, I felt I become a part of that history, and I have a more deep understanding of that history, and also I have a more deep understanding of everyone's choices at that time. So in the video game, you are not just watching or listening to the story. You are involved in the story, and you are the story itself. If you ask me to describe games in one sentence, I would say, game is a new word. Games give me many possibilities to try different lives, to try different virtual worlds. By playing different games, I sometimes become a superhero and save the world. I sometimes have a romantic relationships with handsome boy, and sometimes I just live as a normal citizen in the scene. So, just because game gives so many possibilities, game creates so many virtual worlds. Sometimes playing games be believed as an escape from the real life. And this man is Chen Xinghan, Junior Chen. He is a really famous producer, and his game Flower is the first game be collected by a museum, the Washington Museum. And he once took the interview. The interview asked him, are games a vehicle for education for humans? And he answered, do you think poetry and prose are vehicles for education? The interview kept asking, can games make the world a better place? And he answered, do you think movies and music can make the world a better place? At the end of the interview, he said, games can slow emotional stress as well as the movies and books. Do you believe game can save a marriage? This is a game, it takes two. And the two guys in the picture is Cody and May. They are a couple. But their marriage are in deep trouble. They had many misunderstandings of each other. And they were about to divorce. Just at that time, a magic book takes themselves into doors and traps them into a magical world. It tells them only if you can escape from this world can you turn back. So unexpected journey happened, and they need to work together to escape from the world. And actually, the book wants to show to them what is really important in the marriage. It wants to give them lessons. And they work together, so they have more interaction. They actually have very deep talk. Unlike in the reality, they're just too busy to do that. And they, when in the journey, they remember the good old days, and actually they change the way they get along with each other and know what is really important in the marriage. The time, the responsibility, the attraction, and in the end, they know how to love and save their marriage. This is a game, story happened in the game, but what happened in the real life? I really love this game, so I read many comments on this game. And in the comments, the player will share their own stories. And I found a really interesting one. The player says that his 7-year-old marriage with his wife was also in deep trouble because of actually very tiny things. But just at that time, they started to try this game. This game is a two-player cooperative game, so one need to control May and one to control Cody. So they just needed to work together like a couple with the game. At first, it was full of incomprehension. They blamed each other for the mistakes and the missteps. But as time went by, they also began to know what is important in the marriage, just like the game wanted to show to us. And they changed their way to get along with each other. In the end, they saved their marriage. They encourage and support each other when playing the game. And this is a story happening in the reality. It is unbelievable for me. There are also many other stories, and I choose two. I translate the main point. Some people are lucky. They catch up with the girls they loved by playing these games, but some are not. They actually lose the ones they loved. They couldn't resist the stress of reality. But these all stories. These are not when playing the stories, we are not just look at the game. We create our own stories, and this is the emotional resonance the game can give to us. It's just like watching a really touching movie with the one you loved. So after being involved in so many games, so many stories, I always have this thinking: why not create my own games, and why not create my own stories? Yeah, why not? In 2020, I took part in a game producing program, and in this program, I create a mini game demo with my teammates. In Chinese, 勾引玉龙行, but I don't know how to translate it. So this was the first time I turned myself from a game player to a game producer. And it wasn't a really easy task because I had no experience on it. I only needed to do the copywriter and the artwork. I still needed to sacrifice my weekends to take classes. I needed to know what a game producer program works. I needed to balance the university study with game producing because it really took time. But all things worthwhile. In the end, our team won the second place in the final competition, and I saw my idea come to life. I saw the character I created appear on the screen, and our team really connects the historical background of Tang Dynasty with cyberpunk. And after seeing all these things, I thought my effort paid. And so, we can create our own world, we can create our own game. And I know some of my teammates still try really hard to continue their dreams of game producing, and they had already entered some big game companies. So, our players are not just play. We are more than play. So, to end this TED Talk, I want to show you a movie I really loved, Ready Player One. It is a movie about a game. And in the end of the movie, the game producer Harley said to his players of his game, "Thanks for playing my games." And when I watched this movie, actually another voice I heard, "Thanks for creating these games." Who said this, I wonder? It is a high school student who gained a perfect friendship in a game. It is an individual who been really moved by the history in a game. And it is a creator who was really thankful for all her teammates done in a game. It is me, and all people likes me. I want to say thanks for creating these games, and thanks for listening.